Hello everybody. So I'm going to go quickly through my blood results. So globulin is 21 and it's supposed to be between 21 and 36. So globulin is protein in the blood and high levels indicate autoimmune disease, infections or cancer, and low globulin may indicate liver or kidney disease, but mine is right on the money at 21. So the range is 21 to 36. So then you have albumin, which is also a protein in the blood, and it's created by the liver, and it can indicate a low level can indicate kidney or liver disease, and high level can indicate dehydration. Mine is 47, which is it should be between 35 and 52. It's on the high side, and actually I was fasting, so that's probably why. Maybe I was a little dehydrated. But it's within the range. Alkaline phosphatase, which is also known as ALP. So alkaline phosphatase is to do with your liver and bones. It's produced by your liver and bones, and it will tell you if you have liver and bone disease. So you use these markers with other things. Calcium is 2.43, and then adjusted calcium is 2.36, and the range is between 2.2 and 2.6. Calcium is a general test they use to tell if you're generally healthy. So calcium checks general health, bones, kidneys, digestive system, thyroid, and parathyroid. And your adjusted calcium is the calcium plus the albumin and tells you how healthy your bones, muscles, and nerves are. So my albumin is good and my adjusted calcium is good. So I'm very healthy, apparently. So the next one is the sodium. This is the one that puts terror into everybody, but shouldn't. I take a lot of salt. So the sodium, my sodium is at 139 millimoles per liter, and it's supposed to be between 132 and 144. That's really excellent. The sodium is the amount of sodium in your blood. Sodium is a very important electrolyte. I put in the very myself. Electrolyte that helps control the amount of fluid and balance of acids and bases. That's the pH balance in your body. It helps the nerves and muscles to work properly. So you need your sodium. I take sodium, potassium, magnesium, zinc, all the electrolytes. Well, zinc is the electrolyte, but let's throw that one in there. Good for the old skin. Urea. So my urea is at 3.8 millimoles per liter, and it should be between 2.8 to 8.4 is the range. So my urea is the waste, that's the amount of nitrogen in your blood. And it comes from the kidneys. So that's great. My kidneys are working properly. Creatinine, which is also, it tells you how well your kidneys are working. Creatinine is a waste product. And they check how much is in the blood. So mine's 55 UMol per liter, and it's supposed to be between 49 and 90. So my kidneys are working very well. So then we have the hemolysis index. The hemolysis index is the measure of the red blood color in the serum. And mine is 0. Normal is 0. So then we have total protein. So the total protein in my blood is 68, and it's supposed to be between 62 and 82. So it actually was on the low side of the range, which is fine. The amount of protein in the blood, proteins are important for health and growth and for the body's cells and tissues, can diagnose kidney disease, inflammation if there is not enough, viruses, AIDS, hepatitis B and C, and blood cancers and stuff like that. So that's why they test that. So then you have the ALT, which is alanine transminase. It's an enzyme, also a protein, and it diagnoses liver damage. So if your ALT is high, you may have an infection, something like hepatitis. You may have something that rises your enzyme, and then it might come back down again. But at the moment, everything was fine. My ALT was at 20, and it's supposed to be between 0 and 34. I presume it was a little higher because I can't remember what it was the last time, but it was probably because I had the flu vaccination on the Saturday and I got my blood test done on the Monday, which was kind of silly, really. But sure, we can't account for silly. So total bilirubin. Bilirubin is made from your liver and tells you how well your liver is working. Mine is 8, and it's supposed to be between 2 and 20. So that's great. My liver's perfectly fine. So now we get onto the cholesterol. Mine is 8.6 millimoles per liter, which is extremely high. Press the panic button. I don't give one crap about cholesterol because it means nothing. That is probably good cholesterol. What I do is the triglyceride to HDL ratio. I actually think a high cholesterol, and there's more and more research coming out about this now, is the high cholesterol is good. It should be the good cholesterol. More and more people are getting their LDL tested to see is it the large buoyant or the small dense. Large buoyant is excellent. You want lots of that, and the small dense is the bad one. Generally, people on a high refined carbohydrate diet have not only high LDL, but it's the bad LDL. It's the small dense. So my LDL is likely, I haven't had the detailed test on, but it's likely absolutely excellent. And so my triglycerides were slightly elevated at 1.81, which is unusual, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But the only one from a cardiovascular risk that I worry about is the triglyceride to HDL ratio, which is the one promoted by an increasing number of doctors, but certainly the doctors like Dr. Lustig, he wrote Metabolical, Dr. Benjamin Bickman, Dr. Fung, Dr. Seifried. All of these people will tell you that cholesterol is bunkum and they should be using triglyceride to HDL ratio. Mine is 0.8. It should be under 1.5. My triglycerides were higher than normal, and the reason for that is I was fasting and doing weight loss for November. And when you're fasting, there is a massive triglyceride dump out of your fat cells. I lost 5, well, I kind of lost 6 pounds, but I only got the credit for 5 pounds in the end. Or 6 pounds, yeah, 6 pounds in the end. It had gone down 7 pounds, but I went back up 1 for some strange reason. But anyway, what happens is your fat on your body dumps out the fat into your bloodstream to be used as energy when you're fasting or you haven't enough energy from ingesting food. So that's why my triglycerides are momentarily elevated during this month of fasting, and I'm continuing the fast now until the 15th or the 14th of December. So that's why they're a tiny bit higher than normal. So, but still my triglyceride to HDL ratio is absolutely excellent. It's 0.8. It's normally around 0.34. So if I wasn't fasting so much, but I'll take the hit for the weight loss. If it better, so then you have your calculated LDL. I just ignore all those because I am going with proper things. So my cardiovascular risk is very, very low, practically zero. So the next one, oh yeah, sorry, triglyceride. So my triglycerides are 1.81. My HDL is 2.25. Your HDL should always be higher. Your HDL is your good cholesterol, and it should be higher. So mine's 2.25, and if you divide 1.81 by 2.25, then you get 0.8. Oh, that's how you get your triglyceride to HDL ratio. So next we have the AST. This is the aspartate transferase, which will detect damage to cells of the liver. If the liver cells are damaged, AST will leak into your blood, and my AST is 26. And it's supposed to be between 6 and 42. So that's perfectly fine. Now, my GGT is the gamma glutamyl transpeptidase. I hope I said that correctly. It tests the liver and bile ducts. And mine is 25. And it's supposed to be between 0 and 38. Some of these are slightly elevated, probably because of the flu vaccination. I would imagine that they would be lower. That, not that it matters because they're still within the range, which means that my immune response, considering they were so close, my immune response is absolutely excellent. So next we have the C-reactive protein. This is such an important test that a lot of people don't get done, and they should be doing it as standard. It tests for inflammation. Most people, if they get tested, even if they're skinny, there's inflammation on their insides most of the time, particularly if you're eating refined carbs, even porridge, lads. But anyway, my C-reactive protein was higher than normal at 2.4 milligrams per liter. It's supposed to be between 0 and 5. So it was still perfectly fine, but it was slightly elevated, probably because of the flu vaccination. So nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here. So your C-reactive protein checks for inflammation. CRP, a C-reactive protein, is made in the liver and it increases with infection. So I would have had a mild infection from the flu vaccination. Then I had the fasting glucose, which is how your body handles glucose when it's fasting. Is there enough in the blood? You're not going to get dizzy if it's too low or if it's too high. So my fasting glucose was better than the previous time. It was 4.9. Previously, it was 5.5, which in a lot of labs is considered on the edge of being too high, but this lab is 3.9 to 6.1. So my fasting glucose has gone down a lot, which is very good sign of how my body is handling glucose. So it means that my body is able to make sufficient glucose for me to function fine while I'm fasting. Very important. A lot of people don't do that test. It's very important. So the next one is the HbA1c. The HbA1c is how much glucose is attached to your blood cells over time. So it's between kind of 80 and 100 days, and the blood, the glucose attached is from the last 80 to 100 days. So if you've been sneaking in the carbs, which I was in October, then it would be a little bit elevated. Mine has gone down again, which is a good sign. And of course, you know, not a surprise since I was fasting all of November, but it was 36, my very first blood test, when I was about 6 months into keto. Then I was another 6 months, I think I was 35, and now it's 34, and it's supposed to be between 20 and 42. So that's perfect. Yeah. So then we have the white blood cells and red blood cells. We're going to do that now. WBC, which is the white blood cells. The white blood cells are also known as leukocytes, and if they're elevated, then there's something going on with your immune system. Mine is 6, and it's supposed to be between 4.4 and 11.3. So my immune response was already gone down a lot. So obviously I'm very fit, very healthy. And when the flu vaccination was put in my arm, even though it was a little bit sore after it, I reacted very well. So that's fantastic. It shows you how you fight infection and disease. So that is at 6, so that's very good. And then you have the RBC, which is the red blood cells. Mine is at 4.25, and it's supposed to be between 3.9 and 5.3, so that's perfectly good, really good. The red blood cells are also called the erythrocytes. These are made in the bone marrow, and they contain hemoglobin and an iron-rich protein that carries oxygen from the lungs around the body. So that's important. So then I have the HB, which is it checks for anemia. Mine is at 13.6, and it's supposed to be between 11.7 and 15.9. So that's perfect. A HCT is it's the hematocrit, and it's how much blood is made up of red blood cells as opposed to plasma. So how much of your blood is red blood cells as opposed to plasma? The number and size are taken into account, and it carries oxygen and nutrients. So that is perfect. I'm at 0.412, and it's supposed to be between 0.35 and 0.46. So I'm fucking A1. So this is the one that surprised me a little bit. It's called the MCV, and it came out in red. So I was like, what the hell? But anyway, it turns out that this lab uses 80 to 96 as their measure. It goes on the population, and the normal measure is 80 to 100, and I'm at 96.9, so I'm actually not above average. This particular test, MCV, is the size and volume of the red blood cells, which means that my red blood cells are slightly larger than the average in Ireland. It could indicate macrocytic anemia, so that's where your red blood cells are a little bit too large. It was funny because what causes this and why I'm on the high side, I think, is because of a lack of folic acid or vitamin B12 or B9. And it was funny because I ran out of my folic acid supplement about 3 weeks before this, and I kept saying, well, I must get the box of folic acid, but I didn't. and also my B12 ran out, or my B complex. So that's interesting that I need the vitamin B complex. Also, it was during the blood test was taken during my period, right in the middle of my period, which means that you need more of those nutrients that you might not have otherwise. So then we have the MCH, which is the mean corpuscle hemoglobin. It's the average amount of hemoglobin in a red blood cell. And then you have the MCHC concentration. So both of those are fine. My MCH was 32 pg, and it's supposed to be between 26 and 34. The MCHC, which is the mean corpuscle hemoglobin concentration, can your blood carry enough oxygen? Mine was 33 G per DL, and then it's supposed to be between 31 and 37, so it's perfectly fine. So the PLT is the platelet count, and if it's too high, it can cause clots, and if it's too low, you're going to bleed too much. So mine is 232, and it's supposed to be between 140 and 440, so mine is perfect. And then you have the neutrophils, which indicate acute infection. So if I had a sudden infection, it would be elevated, and it can also indicate cancer, autoimmune. Like, these are the things where I'm surprised if someone is feeling as unwell, they don't just do a blood test. You could tell straight away if there's something wrong with you, if there's something even slightly amiss. And you should be looking into it, you know. So the neutrophils are 2.86, and my ones, and it's supposed to be between 1.4 and 6.6. So they're low, so I have no infection, even with the flu vaccination. But not all the same things show the same types of infection. So some of them show different types. So then you have lymphocytes. The lymphocytes show infection or inflammation. Mine were at 2.28, and they're supposed to be between 0.9 and 3.2. You see, they're slightly elevated, the lymphocytes, and they're the ones that show inflammation and infection. So that would go along with the C-reactive protein and the flu vaccination that I had. So nothing to worry about. Monocytes. Now, if I got another blood test in a week, 2 weeks time, and it showed the same, then it might be a different infection. This is why you need to be alert. If I saw these, and I'm looking for very minor elevations or lows, you can then work out if something's wrong. So then you have monocytes. So the monocytes show infectious disease, lupus, cancer, that kind of stuff. And mine is at 0.46. And the range is 0.15 to 1.30. So I'm pretty low on that. Then we have eosinophils. These are a type of white blood cell. They're active for allergic reactions. This is what I'm saying. These ones now deal with allergic reactions and stuff. They would probably be a little bit higher in March or something, when you've got hay fever and stuff. So the eosinophils are 0.32, and they're supposed to be between 0.04 and 0.40. So actually it's a little bit high. So that would indicate, diseases and infection as well. So that's probably the flu vaccine as well. The basophils are 0.09, which is what I am. And they are a little bit elevated because it's supposed to be under 0.1. So mine is 0.09. So that counts all white blood cells to see if there's infection. So that indicates to me that I was carrying a minor level of infection at that stage. I mean, really, I was carrying minor. So that's it. We have the GFR estimation is the last one. Mine is greater than 90, which is excellent. That's what they put. That's the highest one they put. So it's at the highest. I've seen people with greater than 80, and I've heard of people with just above 15. It's you should really be above 60. So you hopefully that's the blood flow through your kidneys, and you would hope that would be pretty good. So that's it. I am happy that he didn't do I was disappointed he didn't do the thyroid, didn't do the potassium, didn't do the magnesium, didn't do the vitamin G. I'm pretty sure my vitamin D is very good. I had gone from 52 at my first blood test during keto up to 71. 52 is the kind of sufficient amount, but you're not quite deficient unless you're under 50. 71 is almost optimum. 75 is optimum. So that was from supplementation. I take a vitamin D tablet from, it's vitamin D and turmeric. It's from Tesco, and it seems to be really good. I do feel better on it, definitely. I mean, we don't get much sunshine. You wouldn't want to be depending on it anyway. So that's really good. I do, like I said, I do take supplements. I don't have time for a good enough diet. And even I see there with that MCV, obviously I'm not getting enough B12. Like, I haven't been eating the variety of food that I would normally eat because I'm fasting, and then I'm kind of eating on the hoof at the end of it. So and also I had run out of the supplements. So that just goes to show me that I do need the vitamin B complex and folic acid. So, sometimes you wonder about these things. Why do you bother taking some of these? I just thought, folic acid and vitamin B complex are important particularly for women. They're important for men too, but particularly for women. And that is probably what happened there. So that's it. I am very happy. There is nothing wrong with me. I'm very, very healthy. But I just would have liked the last few, especially when I'm paying 50 euros. I want to get my full value. But anyway, I'll get over it. You really know I'm annoyed about it. I think the doctor was he was like the gatekeeper. I think he was not happy that I gave him a list of all the different tests that I wanted to get done. So I think maybe he lost one of my sheets. Maybe. I think maybe. So I would have liked to have seen the thyroid function, because I started taking iodine, and I wanted to see if there was a kind of an improvement, even though my thyroid actually was working pretty well. But it had improved the last time from the previous time, and I had already started taking the iodine. I just buy it in the health food shop, and it doesn't taste of anything. I buy the dropper one, and like I said, I'm still have all my stuff on iHerb to order, and I still haven't ordered it because I just said 2024 I'm going to buy in shops because of previous times, you get sick of ordering online, but I'll have to go back to some ordering online. So yeah, overall very happy. I'm very healthy. Obviously this was a little bit impacted by my flu vaccination, which I probably should have thought twice about, but keep going. And listen, I mean, I think it's good to get your bloods done. I really do. I really think it's important because, I mean, it's really bad that the doctor even thinks that I'm a weirdo for going and getting my bloods done randomly for my own health. But you have to ignore that stuff. You have to ignore the kind of snooty, I'm entitled to look after my health and prevent illness. But because it's such an alien concept, particularly to the Irish doctors, you probably get some good doctors in the States maybe, but you're probably not. You're probably going to get your typical medical person who is going, what's this weirdo doing? Why would they want to prevent illness? And yet, so I think that's a little bit sad, but it's typical. So you have to have resilience. You have to have balls of steel. You need balls of steel, especially in the modern world where people can make you feel like you're silly for doing something. And I think you need balls of steel more than ever. And we have almost become a little bit flaccid in our ability to defend ourselves. And we also feel bad about defending ourselves. We feel fear, we feel anxious, we feel like we don't want to put people out. There is definitely a level of fear that I didn't see before. And also there's a level of, that doctor wanted me to feel inferior for wanting to look after my own health. But you just have to drive on. You have to drive on. And I decided, obviously I wasn't confrontational. I did contact the surgery afterwards and said that a lot of the blood tests that I requested were not done, and that I wasn't happy. But where is that going to get you? The blood is already thrown in the bin. It's not going to change anything. And to be honest, the next time I go back there, if I get the same doctor, he's going to do the same thing. He's not going to care. In fact, if anything, his ego will be bruised. So you need resilience. You need to push through. Like I've had situations where I've had to disagree with the doctor, and I've always been right because you always know yourself. If you feel there's something wrong, if I thought one of these results was wrong, was a little bit off, I would. No, the doctor did contact me and say, did I want a statin? Why the hell would I want a statin? All the science tells you that high cholesterol and a statin will add 4 days to your life on average. But anyway, statins cause so many other problems. But even why would I want a statin? My cholesterol is good cholesterol. All the cholesterol swimming around. Cholesterol brings your hormones. Cholesterol is great for your brain. Cholesterol does absolutely amazing stuff for you. And all of my cholesterol is good cholesterol, regardless of what the red alarm bells were saying. But they're not looking for anything else. They didn't ring me about anything else. And the thing is that it seems sad that someone who might have, early stage cancer, that's not being picked up. Like I go through mine and I'm like, oh, there could be something wrong there. I have somebody else that did a blood test, and their bloods are incredible compared to a year ago when they started keto, and they were doing kind of dirty keto. They weren't even as good as me. But I have been bold over the summer, so I can't say anything. I can't give out to people. So yeah, so I think the bloods are really important. And hopefully Santi is going to bring me a CGM. I'm hoping. So I hope Santa Claus will bring me a CGM. Santa being myself. Anyway, have a great night. I hope that you will also get your bloods done and have a look on the inside of what's happening, and take some power. Now, I do understand the medical professionals are tied. I'm in the nutrition field, so they're tied to strict regulations, and they kind of have to follow the food pyramid. I don't. Fuck the food pyramid. Anyway, have a great night. I'll see you. It's Saturday night here, and I am going to just chill out. Bye.